guys, welcome back to the Monkey Cave. So for the last few weeks we put a ton of work into the floor and the subframe and all of that stuff that no one will ever really see unless they get down and look under the car. There's a few things I want to tidy up under there and a couple of niceties that I'm going to be making. But in the meantime, I was really looking forward to kind of starting to put some suspension on this car. That's where it's at, right? So we went with Total Cost Involved. They're a friend of ours anyways. And right now in the hot rod market, they're the go-to guys. Their autocross setups are just incredibly well-working suspension platforms. They've done a lot of math, so they've taken a lot of handling characteristics and they've incorporated them. So we got the latest, greatest stuff from them. It's like a Mustang 2 style front end, but it's a full custom. Running a Ride Tech coilovers, which is, I think Ride Tech is made by Fox Suspension. We love Fox stuff around here, so it's on. So what it is these are a sheet metal car, right? They're a unibody car and it's all sheet metal in here. So what Total Cost Involved does is they provide you reinforcing plates that need to be welded on, and that's what we're doing here. You can MIG weld these, but they recommend you heliarc them or something in their directions over there. I specialize in TIG anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and TIG these on. This car is for a friend of mine, so I want him to kind of see the extra time we're going to put into the quality for him. But I tell you what, it's almost going too slow. I want it to be done already just because I want to see this car, right? All right, you guys, so here we are back on the 1964 Falcon Total Cost Involved front suspension installation. Now, I need to clarify that this is not an off-the-shelf kit from them. We are using off-the-shelf parts, but we put a special package together for this car specifically to meet my needs. So if you'd like to talk to them about that, reach out through their Instagram, and their media manager should be able to actually help you put together a similar package if that's what you're looking for. But all of the installation that I'm doing on this car is not specific to your car unless you put this package together. It's very close, but there are some subtle differences and I don't want confusion. Okay. So this is the Falcon cross member. It's going to go in here. Falcon, the Mustang 2 arms, all that stuff. But we got a nice coilover package and stuff going on. And I'm going to have to modify the top hats, which you normally just assemble. But since I specialize in suspension, it's easy for me to modify these things and put this package together. So I've gone ahead and installed the frame reinforcement plates. They recommended TIG welding them, and since I kind of specialize in that, I went ahead and did that. You can MIG weld them in though, and remember, I had the entire bottom of this car sandblasted. It put together a much more easier to assemble process. So what you want to do is, after you do the frame reinforcing plates, they have alignment blocks that go in the back. You're going to drill this hole right here, okay, and put those alignment blocks in there. Then this cross member gets put into place. Now they tell you to use an overhead bar and all of that, but I happen to have a lift here. It makes it a little easier. I did put stabilizers under the rear, so if I put any pressure on the front, this doesn't fall off my lift. Think smart, people, okay? We've seen too many accidents, but I noticed, I went to the store a little while ago and I came back and my little lift here had started to sag a little, so I'm going to pump it up. I'm going to re-square everything. Then we're going to start welding this stuff up. Why not? But let me share with you how I put this front suspension together. Total cost involved arms. It's their Mustang 2 coilover kit, and mix and match. So what I did is right here, okay, I brought this arm right here to 0, okay? That is perfectly plain across the other side. That is where this kit is designed to operate in, and it puts this car in a really badass stance, okay? I already had it on the ground. It looks amazing with some wheels on it, just to mock it up. I'm gonna show you guys later, maybe a little teaser. But generally, this is how I installed this kit. So I put this lower arm at 0, okay? Now, in the automotive world, they prefer about 6 degrees of caster. If you're not familiar with caster is, you should get a book on suspension, Chassis Engineering by Herb Adams, or there's basically the Bible, which is Race Car Vehicle Dynamics. Both of those books are amazing. One is like a $20 book, and one is a $120 book. And I have the $120 book in there. That's I use regularly, right? So let me share with you how I set this up. Arm is at 0 here, okay? And then I basically assembled the upper arm together, and then I clamped the shock tower into place. Now, normally from TCI, they pre-locate all this stuff for you. Their upper tower has a bolt hole that goes through a bolt hole that you have already drilled in the car, okay? And for a Mustang, that would put you in the right position, but because this is a Falcon, it's not quite right where I need it to be. So what I did is I clamped the shock tower into place, essentially, okay? Then what I did is the steering should always be in plane with the suspension anyway, so it's kind of a bit of a cheat. I used the machine edge of the steering knuckle right here, okay, to find my 6 degrees, okay? So what I do is I take my other little angle finder here, okay, calibrate it to the car. Now you want the car at approximately 0.4 and side to side. You want 0, okay? So you need to kind of check these things. Maybe your ground is unlevel or any of those things, you're going to end up with a crooked car. Now, some of it you can adjust with coilovers and things like that. I know that this car is very rigid right now because it wants to sit on 3 of the 4 tripod stands I got here, right? Which is cool. I don't mind that, actually. One stand is fine. They're all adjustable, blah, blah, blah. But I've noticed that I can take one of these loose and the car doesn't move very much, which is a good thing, in my opinion, okay? Now, I'm going to calibrate this other angle finder to 0. All right, and then I set it on the steering arm right here. Now it's a little bit hard to see, all right, and the magnets aren't all that good, okay? But you are looking for 6 degrees right here. So that plane is going to be at the same angle that the caster in my suspension there is. All right, then it's between 5 and 6 degrees, and then the upper arm has a little bit of adjustment. Now, in my opinion, more is better than less. Okay, so if you don't understand what caster is, I'll explain it real quick. Caster is basically the knuckle leaning back like this, okay? So the knuckle leans back like this. They are not perfectly straight up and down. They lean back. If you've ever seen like a top fuel drag car or any of those, when they turn after they've made their run and it looks like the wheels almost fall over, that's caster. Caster is what returns your steering wheel to 0. So when you are at speed or any of those things, the steering wheel wants to continue to go straight and not flop side to side. So the more caster you add, the more stable the car is at higher speeds. So I like a little more than a little less, so I went ahead and got it. But using the steering knuckle right here, I got my 6 degrees. All right, I got my 0 here. Once I did that, I pretty much locked everything into place and just tested it, essentially. And then once I was satisfied with that, I went ahead and welded it all up, and I've gone ahead and painted it because there's a rain coming at the end of this week or in a few days or whatever, and I might not get the chance. So I'm trying to keep everything from rusting on this car because I had it all sandblasted, all clean. You know, your fingerprints will rust everything, so on and so forth. So I've got my 6 degrees here. I got my 0 here. Once that was done, I locked the car into place. Oh. Well, shit. guys, so this pretty much concludes the TCI coilover conversion on the front of this 1964 Falcon Wagon. But I wanted to share with you guys a little bit of what we did. I wasn't able to film some of it because my camera kept overheating. But if you have something specific you want to see, hit those comments. All right, let me know, and I can either film it for a future segment. I can take it apart, dissect it, put it back together, kind of show you that. I don't have a problem with that kind of stuff, but otherwise I need to keep trucking on this vehicle, right? But there's some moisture coming from Mexico, which is bad for ferrite-rich components. If you don't know what ferrite is, that's basically another term for iron, right? That's your periodic table of elements term for iron. But anyways, so iron rusts, right? That's what I'm getting at. So I had to paint some of this stuff. Rack and pinion all installed. This is all tightened up. It pretty much goes right into place. This TCI kit is very easy to work with. Other than the vehicle itself that had old corrosion and stuff, because I don't know where this car was at originally, but some of the corrosion is pretty bad. But things that go along with that, corrosion is a result of moisture, right? So there are some steps you can take to keep the moisture out of your vehicle, right? So like this right here, this lower control arm is held on with a single bolt. It's called a kingpin bolt, right? Lubricate the entire shank. Anti-seize or grease works just fine. Things like your sway bar right here, where they send you two rod ends, all right? They become end links, a male and a female. Well, put the female on the top so that moisture will wick out instead of get stuck in. All right, little details like that, the devil is in the details, can make a big difference when you go to do maintenance or take it apart. It won't be rusted together, right? Lubricate threads and things like that. Otherwise, this car is pretty close to ready to go. I got to put the, the Zerk fittings and some of the rod ends here, the tie rods and things like that. I went and picked up the rear end a little bit earlier today. I'm going to start the fabrication on that next. So I tell you what, check out this car sitting on the ground with just the front end installed, right? It's amazing. So this thing is going to be hot when we are done. So I'll catch you in the next episode. You guys right on. Thanks.